Please be seated. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the graduation ceremony of Class WG08. Thank you to those who are in the audience this evening and to those who are joining us via live stream. My name is Beth Ann Puckett, and I am the director of the Chester County Intermediate Unit Practical Nursing Program. I started as the new director officially in July 1, and although I have not known this particular class for long, I am thrilled to have met them, each and every one of them during their part of their journey and how they reached their goals and got to this special day. It was not easy. There were days where you may have cried and felt defeated, and days where you may have laughed and knew you had made a difference in a patient's life. And through all of these times, your hard work, dedication, and determination kept you focused, and you achieved completion of the practical nursing program. I am so happy for all of you and congratulate you on your accomplishments. I would now like to introduce Dr. Joe Fullerton, the Assistant Director of the Career Technical and Customized Education Division.
Thank you, Mrs. Puckett. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a distinct honor and pleasure that I am here tonight to share this momentous occasion with the graduates of Class 08 and with all of you. However, I have to tell you a story that occurred in the back room before we came out here tonight. These young men and women have taken such classes as anatomy and physiology, pharmacology, medical terminology, all very difficult, high-level classes. But when it was time to line up, they were scared. And they didn't know what to do. I found that to be funny. But what I found to be inspiring is after that brief second of, am I standing in the right spot? They recovered and managed to line up appropriately, I think, and walk out here. If those aren't traits of a good nurse, I don't know what are. These young men and women started their program in May of 2020 in the second month of what we didn't know was going to continue to be an ongoing pandemic. And tonight they celebrate their accomplishment after seeing each other on a computer screen for much of the time, and then realizing that, yes, there was the other half of the body to the person that I saw in my class. We celebrate them because they persevered. They showed drive, they showed determination. I applaud them, and I applaud all of you, their support system. They wouldn't be here this evening without your love, support, and the pat on the back that they needed to get through the tears, the labs, and the quizzes so that they could sit here before you tonight. Thank you for being here, and to the class, we appreciate your efforts. We wish you well, and we know you are going to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fullerton. Graduates, please stand. Upon achievement of program requirements, these graduates have successfully completed a Pennsylvania State Board of Nursing approved and ASIN accredited practical nursing program. It is with great pride that I present to you the West Grove 8th class of the Chester County Intermediate Unit Practical Nursing Program. Please be seated. I would now like to introduce West Grove 08's class president, Olivia Wasson, who will present the guest speaker.
Thank you for those inspiring, I'm done. Thank you. Talonda S. Rogers is a nurse instructor for the practical nursing program at the Chester County Intermediate Unit in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and holds a Master of Science in Nursing Education from West Chester University. Before entering the healthcare field, she received a Bachelor of Science in Marketing from West Chester University. Talonda works for the very program where she started her career as an LPN back in 2007, and she is the founder of Risk by Talonda Healthcare Consultants and Educators, LLC, a business focused on decreasing healthcare disparities in the United States through education. She is also the founder and leader of Loved, Ladies of Value, Encouragement, and Determination, a women's group that supports women's issues in the surrounding community and has members from many states. Some of Talonda's accomplishments include being invited as a featured speaker for the License to Live conference hosted by Dr. Jarrett R. Patton as one of the experts in a special panel on diversity and inclusion, being quoted in Minority Nurse magazine October 2020, issued in an article entitled Cultural Competence, Seeing the World Through the Eyes of Others, being featured in the Nurses You Should Know, a collaborative campaign designed to raise awareness to contributions of nurses of color in the nursing profession and healthcare at large, publishing her first book for nursing students entitled Nursing School, What I Learned May Make Your Life Easier, which became an Amazon bestseller, winning a business pitch contest for West Chester University for inventing a mobile app and its companion pregnant stuffed animal to help decrease the maternal mortality rate in the US and worldwide. These projects will be on the market soon. She desires to help save lives because of her own near-death experience giving birth to her firstborn. In her spare time, Talonda enjoys watching movies and documentaries that focus on important events in history. Her hobbies include listening to motivational speakers, reading, and singing. Talonda lives in Downingtown, Pennsylvania with her husband, Robert, and her children, Taya, Rena, and Cameron.
Thank you, Olivia, and I'm so sorry you had a mouthful of words there. So I'm actually going to read my speech. I can't be as great as Dr. Fullerton and memorize it all because I'm emotional. Just one question. Who are you? It must have been the windiest day of the year. We could barely keep our materials from blowing away as we waited to greet you in our new way of doing things, the car pickup line. We had long given up on any type of signage to direct you to the right path, instead waving our arms to tell you where to go. It was our new way of life. You are the very first cohort to begin your nursing school journey completely virtual due to the pandemic, and the first to finish with as normal a graduation as possible. Your cohort had been delayed at least twice, yet you were determined to not let that stop you. Some drove up with kids in tow, some came on their lunch hour, and at least one of you took an Uber. You had made up your minds that it was time for a change in your life, so you embarked on what I'm sure you had no idea you were getting yourselves into. As I'm sure you quickly learned, nursing school would take most, if not all of your time, focus, and attention to succeed, but yet here you are. In this program, you learned a lot about a lot of different things, but what did you learn about yourself? Who are you? Most people attempt to answer this question with a statement of what they do for a living, but I submit to you that you are much more than what you do. What will you remember about your experience? I remember my days in this program 12 years ago. We were told that we would eat, sleep, and breathe nursing. I thought, okay. We were told that there would be days when we wouldn't be able to vacuum the floor, do the laundry, or cook dinner because our time would be limited, and to allow our children and significant others to help with it. I thought, okay, this is sounding even better. But being the control freak that I am, I thought, I'm not okay with my laundry looking a hot mess. We were told that friends might not understand when we say, I can't, I'm in nursing school. By the way, whoever decided to put that on t-shirts and mugs, Must be a kabillionaire by now. Since I was already a married mother of two, I thought, okay, no different from my life now, I can do this. Even being a good student, my 18-year-old self doing the thinking there, I was not prepared for what I would experience as my 33-year-old self returning to start a new program as a second career. I'm sure some can relate to the fact that once we get a little older, it takes a minute or two to be able to grasp the fact that we're back in school again. So I started this speech by asking you, who are you? But let me tell you who I am. You see, nursing had always been my first choice of a career, but as I got near high school, I was talked out of it by well-meaning family members. I was told, you be a nurse, but surely you can't even stand the sight of blood. How are you going to be a nurse? Why don't you go to school for business? Because you look like a businesswoman. So being the shy, quiet child that I was, that's what I did. But my heart was always with nursing. Go to school, study hard, get good grades, graduate, go to college, graduate, get married, start a family, in that order. Do not vary from the script, do not look left to right, do not pass go, do not collect $200 because anything else would be uncivilized. Well, maybe nobody told me that, that's probably what I put on myself. Anyway, I was progressing well through my plan. Did you hear that? I said my plan. I'm sure God got a great laugh out of that. And I graduated from high school and college with great grades. I had gotten married and was now working on the family part by the tender age of 25, and then life happened. I remember it as if it were yesterday. I had waited 9 long months, and finally the day had arrived. I was going to get to meet my baby. I had always been a planned C-section due to a surgery I had a couple years ahead of time. In the OR, the silence was deafening as I waited to hear whether it was a boy or a girl, but instead what I heard was the sound of CPR being performed. I remember my husband's back as he was escorted out of the OR. I remember repeatedly asking to see my baby, and the anesthesiologist looking down at me, stroking my head and reassuring me that the doctor would talk to me back in my room. Back in my room, my family, doctor, nurse, and hospital priests lined the walls of my room, all staring at me. It was my nurse who bravely stepped forward, sat on my bed beside me to deliver the worst news of my life, that my firstborn had been stillborn. It was my nurse who held my hand when the GI surgeon inserted an NG tube because my bowel shut down. It was my nurse who catered to my needs during my 8-day stay. I was very sick with a blood sugar of 750. I didn't realize how sick I was at the time. It was my nurse running around tired because they were short-staffed. It was my nurse who hugged me and gave me her condolences when I came back to retrieve my baby's pictures. It was my nurse's aide who comforted me by saying she also had a little boy angel in heaven and that our children could play together. It was my nurse who I confided in to express my deepest sadness. Those are some of the reasons why nursing is still, for 19 years in a row and counting, the #1 most honest, ethical, and trusted profession. Who am I? I am a survivor, I am determined, and I am focused on my goals. I became a nurse because I wanted to help people heal, like my nurse and aide tried to do for me. I became a nurse educator to help graduate compassionate, culturally competent nurses. I became a business owner to help bridge the communication gap between providers and people in the minority. And I wrote my first book for nursing students in hope that what I learned may make your lives easier. When asked about how hard this program is, I always say the program wasn't difficult for me, but it was a lot of work. Nursing school is a different monkey. And like I've told you all many times, don't even attempt to try to explain to anyone who is not a nursing student or a nurse, because chances are they won't get it. You are definitely part of a special club. On our first day, we were told to bring a carry-on piece of luggage for all of the books we would get, and yes, that's exactly what we needed. Walking into the classroom on the first day, the books sat higher than we did. Today, you are fortunate. Technology has replaced some of the books, but for some, only some of the books. For this group, though, the only person who struggled with technology was me. Thank you to my resident IT specialist, Olivia. For many days, I wanted to go straight old school on y'all by picking up a book and teaching the old-fashioned way because of technology snafus. I'm sure you would all agree that going through school in a pandemic was not easy. It would take a lot of creativity on the part of your instructors and a spirit of perseverance on the part of you students to make it happen. As the world discovered, working from home while homeschooling your own children gave us all a new appreciation for teachers. It was not easy. Some of you still had to work, go to school, and homeschooled your own children. Armani, Amy, Melanie, Hisham, Micaiah, Sammy, and Katrina, you learned how much more difficult it was. And then there was one, Chanel Monroe, who defied the odds by working full-time, going to school, caring for your child. We usually discourage against this because we know how difficult it is to succeed when you're working full-time. Notice I said it was difficult, but not impossible, and you proved that it was possible. Although there were days you were mandated to stay at work for extra shifts, here you sit today. For you, I'm sure the meaning of time management was real. This was not lost on me, for I was in the same boat. It was a challenge, but you did it. If you didn't work outside the home, then you definitely did inside. As everyone in this room can attest, children are a full-time job. And boy, when they were on the camera, they were cuties, stealing the show. Whether it was Jessica's girls with their luscious locks listening to the lecture, Armani's little boy with all that hair, or my super hyper boy, Cam, who just had to create a reason to stick his face in the camera every morning. You did some amazing things, like the day Lexi balanced a sick child on her hip while standing at her kitchen counter taking a farm exam without a scratch of paper and still managed to get a 100%. Amy, caring for your grandparents, Tanisha, caring for your grandchildren, and a number of you trying to stay focused in class while you had family members at home going through serious medical issues. You were pulled and tugged on at every side, but here you are. Exams were always fun. If you all could see your faces, many days I low-key zoomed in just to see if I could read your lips and have a laugh. And don't act like you didn't low-key screenshot me in the middle of some hideous, awful face too, Olivia. And then there was your working space. Raj took forever turning his camera around to show his 360 of his space and finally figured out how to come out of the dark so we could see him. Melanie looked like she was sitting against the wall of a cold prison cell, but looked beautiful in her makeup. And we were all jealous of Micaiah's comfortable-looking couch and warm blankets. As I'm sure you decided, if I must be home, I might as well be comfortable. But it was Hisham who had the most interesting-looking space of them all. A white room complete with pink Minnie Mouse curtains, a Minnie Mouse clock, Olaf, and a host of other stuffed animals around him attending school too. The mark of a good, strong dad, being able to kick your little girl to the curb to commandeer her playroom as your classroom. For some, it's been a long time coming. You learned to stand up, flat-footed, straighten your back, stop doubting yourself, and confidently state your answer out loud. Well, maybe with a little military-style push from me, right, Tanisha? There have been many tears and sleepless nights. And I know that's true because Armani made up for it in the front row of my classroom almost every time we had lecture. I think the only time she didn't sleep were on the days I made you all get up, run around doing an activity to help keep you from sleeping in the afternoons. But I'll cut you some slack, Armani, because anyone who could take a break, have a baby, come back, kick butt, You have my utmost respect. Just know it was all out of my love for teaching nursing students and for the desire to see you on this day, and with the feeling of accomplishment and pride that you all should feel right now. So who are you? I hope you know that you are survivors too. You were determined to push through when it got hard, so you stayed focused on your goal. Congratulations, you made the best career choice for yourself. So West Grove 08, I will leave you with this, and only you will understand this. This is from me, some of my colloquialisms. Remember that if that pit bull ever gets in behind you out in Podunk, USA, because you were hookamajoing, just run. Run towards your bright future. Run not necessarily to be first, like the one who received the Roadrunner Award yesterday, Miss Devin Kinney. But run to finish the race. That's what you all have done. You've finished. And now I am finished, except for these words from one of my favorite motivational speakers, Mr. Les Brown. Always strive to get on top in life, because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Thank you.
Thank you for those inspiring words, Talonda. When the West Grove 08 students asked me over a month ago if their class speaker could be one of our faculty members, it's easy to see why they chose you, how you have impacted and made a difference in each of their lives. I would now like to have Mrs. Talonda Rogers present the Class West Grove 08 Awards for Valedictorian and Salutatorian.
It was clear very early on that the class chose the right person as their president. As president, she acted professionally as a liaison between the class and the faculty. She extended herself to help classmates when and where she could, and went beyond the call of duty, even on weekends. She set a good example for others to follow. As a leader, she learned that the ability to navigate the positive and negative and keep moving forward are important, and she did it with grace. You worked, and it has paid off. Congratulations, Olivia Wasson, the class salutatorian. There are some people you meet and say, they are built for this. That's Jessica Murch. It was a, yes, that's appropriate. It was apparent from the early days during clinical in class and then clinical in the hospital that she was ready for this. She wanted to learn. With enthusiasm and energy, she attended to her patients. She grasped information and tasks very quickly. Whenever I asked questions to the class during our days on Zoom, I could always count on Jessica to chime in with an answer. Some days, I believe she did it just so I wasn't left hanging. And I personally appreciate anyone who stays up as late as I do. The hard work you put into all of your assignments has paid off, and that's why you are the valedictorian. Congratulations.
Good evening, classmates, friends, and family. On behalf of Class Westgrove 08, I want to start out by saying thank you for coming tonight to show your love and support to us as we take the final step towards the end of this journey. And oh my gosh, what a journey it has been. When we started this program, we were basically in a drive-through at the Penix Bridge campus with Mrs. Houghton, Mrs. Hodge, and Mrs. Rogers handing us our books and lab bags. And I swear it was the windiest day of the year. Then we all drove home and hopped on Zoom to start our very first class. I can't tell you how nervous I was, as I'm sure everyone else was too. And how ironic is it that our very first day and our very last day were both on Zoom. Chanel, I'm really gonna miss the Brady Bunch theme song you played for us and your laptop slams at the end of a really, really, really long class day. We were told from the beginning, in order to be a good nurse, there are 2 qualities you must possess. We were told we would have to learn to be flexible and adaptable from the very first day. And I have to say, flexible and adaptable we definitely became. We didn't always like it, but we learned to just be ready for it at all times. And I don't know another group of amazing people I would have rather gone through this experience with. If there's anything that I have taken from this experience, it's this. You can come from all different walks of life, experiences, cultural backgrounds, and ethnicities, and still come together closer than ever at the end. Only we know the pain of the sleepless nights, the anxiety attacks, the tears, and all the time we missed with friends and family. No one else will ever understand what we've been through together, and for that, we now have an unbreakable bond. Not only have we all gained 13 more friends, but we've gained 13 new family members. When this is all over, there are so many things that I will miss, but there are a few favorite memories I would like to share. Our first time in lab trying to put sterile gloves on, and we all looked like we had T-Rex hands because we had no idea what the heck we were doing. Doing our head-to-toe assessments in lab on family members because we couldn't do them together. Thank you to my mother-in-law for being a willing participant. Learning how to insert a Foley because there weren't enough cadavers in the lab, we had to use suction cup anatomically correct male and female parts that sat on the table. Katrina, the crazy stories you would share during lectures would have us all laughing hysterically. And thank you for always having those deep heart-to-hearts with me. Raj, your random giggles all day long. I'll never forget when we were having to do the Heimlich on an infant, and he was laughing so hard he couldn't do it, and he had to hand the baby to Amy. Mind you, he was the nurse and she was the mom. In case you don't know, Armani does not like to share cookies, even when her clinical group is sweating profusely, starving, and about to pass out. Micaiah, we always know when you're around because we could hear your laugh from a mile away. I will miss your energy and enthusiasm. Lexi, even though you have so much to do already, you are never too busy to help another classmate who had questions, especially about pharm. Amy, acting like a 10-mile bike ride is no big deal, and then chugging your espresso after clinical. Tanisha, I don't think any of us will forget the fruit snack that fell on the floor that day. Know what I'm talking about? Hisham, you were never too afraid to argue with Mrs. Rogers, even when she told you not to. I guess that's the politician in you. Chanel, I will forever be grateful for the constant texts and encouragements all hours of the night. I will miss being grossed out with you about spiders and sharing our fear of bees and laughing about it. Thank you for always being in my head at the right time. Devin, I loved how red your face would get with some of the conversations that me, you, Mel, and Olivia would have at lunch, and for always stumping Dan with your questions. Sammy, for always offering kind words and encouragement at just the right time. Mel, you're never afraid to ask a question. In clinical one day, there was an ENT sitting at the desk, and she had gotten stung by a bee, and it was super swollen, like allergic reaction. And she looked over at him and said, "Do you think I'm allergic to bees?" After asking him what kind of doctor he was. Olivia, the amazing tech girl of the class, how do I thank you enough for the late night study sessions, the venting sessions when we were ready to toss in the towel, and the school and non-school related tears. Your laugh that actually sounds like a wheeze. And for advocating for everyone regardless of the situation. And for just being an amazing leader and best friend. We have all worked so hard to get where we are, and I'm so proud of all of us for making it through. I waited for the end because she told me not to talk about her. But I really do have to say thank you to the one person who has been with all of us from the beginning, to push us to our fullest potential, to remind us that this wasn't permanent, and in the end, it will all be worth it. Mrs. Rogers, you were so right, and we will sincerely miss you so much. I hope you're ready for the massive amount of Facebook friend requests you're going to get tonight. And Mrs. P for not being afraid to get things done and for going above and beyond for the students in this program. With all that being said, I just want to end with a quote for the class from Florence Nightingale. Let us never consider ourselves finished nurses. We must be learning all of our lives. Congratulations, West Grove 08, we finally made it.
And now the class president will lead her class in the Practical Nurses Pledge. Graduates, please stand.
I sincerely pledge myself to dedicate my life to the delivery of health care, to maintain high standards of personal ethics, and to advance the knowledge of my profession. I will endeavor to conserve life, alleviate suffering, and promote health. I will be an advocate to those in need and provide for the well-being of those in my care without prejudice. I will not use my knowledge contrary to the laws of humanity, neither will I disclose any personal matters entrusted to me. With integrity, I will place my vocation as a responsible member of the healthcare profession. I will follow these precepts and guard them sacredly.
Thank you, Olivia. Graduates, you may sit. I would now like to invite the class officers for West Grove 8 and PO3 to come on stage as I call their name. Class President for West Grove 08, Olivia Wasson. Vice President, Jessica Murch. We're getting your steps in, Olivia. Secretary, Devin Kinney. Treasurer, Samantha Hoffman. And Resource, Melanie DeMosk. The Class PO3 officers, Claudette Key, President. Christian Vanderslice, who could not be here tonight, so Megan Starks is standing in for him as PNP Ambassador, Vice President. Amy Lieb, Secretary. Kim Smith, Treasurer. And Jeff Dolphin, Resource. To explain the Nightingale lamp, during the Crimean War, Florence Nightingale gained the nickname the Lady with the Lamp, deriving from a phrase in a report in the London Times, which described her as a ministering angel whose slender form glides quietly along each corridor. She may be observed alone with a little lamp in her hand, making her solitary rounds, caring for the sick and wounded soldiers. Within 6 months of her arrival in Scutari, the mortality rate dropped from 42.7% to 2.2%. Florence insisted on adequate lighting, diet, hygiene, and activity. She was well ahead of her time. She understood even then that the mind and body worked together, that cleanliness helped to prevent infection, and that it promoted healing. As a symbol of unity and of caring in the nursing profession, our graduating class officers will pass the lamp to the officers of Class PO3, our next graduating class, reminding them in our high-tech healthcare world not to lose sight of the caring component of nursing. You may now exchange the lamps, and continue our tradition of caring and compassion. Thank you. I now would like to take a moment to acknowledge our practical nursing staff and faculty. These hardworking individuals dedicate a lot of time and have impacted each of these students' lives while in the program. Faculty and staff, please stand when I call your name to be acknowledged. Teresa Berkman, Michelle Carpenter, Julia Freevert, Gigi Hayes, Lisa Hotchkiss, Leslie James, Michelle Regner, Talonda Rogers, Dan Schultz, Maria Schultz, Charlene Smith, Lauren Unruh, Leslie Waltz, Karen Warren. This team is what makes our program so special. Their experience, dedication, and hard work to meet the students' needs on a daily basis is outstanding. I cannot thank them enough for contributing and making this program so amazing. Thank you. Students and graduates, we are most thankful as well to have met each of you. Our lives have changed as each class teaches us some life lessons. And in the end, we become better teachers and better people because of meeting all of you. So thank you. Attaining academic excellence in such a rigorous program is commendable. I would like to recognize graduates who met the academic requirements for the National Association of Licensed Practical Nurses Honor Society. These graduates who have demonstrated and achieved this honor are wearing gray and burgundy cords this evening. Will the following students please stand and be recognized? Tanisha Barrett, Lexine Bryceblatt, Melanie Damask, Samantha Hoffman, Devin Kinney, Hisham Latata, Chanel Monroe, Jessica Murch, Rajesh Kumar Parasania, Katrina Waller, and Olivia Wasson. I also have the privilege of recognizing the following students for perfect attendance for the entire program. This is a commendable accomplishment to not be absent or late for all 4 levels of the 15-month program. There are many students in this class that succeeded in perfect attendance for some of the levels, which is also challenging to do. But these 3 students achieved perfect attendance in all 4 levels. Will the following students please stand once I call your names and be recognized for perfect attendance for all 4 levels? Devin Kinney, Jessica Murch, and Olivia Wasson. And now, if Talonda, you will join me on stage, the moment you have all been waiting for, the awarding of diplomas. Each student receives a school pin. Every school has a distinct pin, which easily identifies the graduates to their fellow alumni and is a source of pride. We always wear our school pins over our heart. As I call your name, please come up to receive your diploma and rose from Mrs. Rogers. Devin Kinney. Amy Breckbill. Jessica Murch. Tanisha Barrett. Lexine Bryce-Blatt. Armani James. Katrina Elizabeth Waller. Micaiah Hines. Samantha Hoffman. Chanel Monroe. Olivia Wasson. Melanie Damask. Hisham Latata. Rajesh Kumar Parasania. As we bring the ceremony to a close, I ask that all remain in their seats until the graduates are arranged on the stage. Graduates, you can start to come on the stage. I would like to extend thanks to our CCIU administration, communications team, maintenance, and horticultural departments for all your help this evening and throughout the program. And I especially want to thank all of you for joining us as guests in the audience tonight and via the live stream as well. To conclude our ceremony, I now present to you our newest nurse colleagues, the graduates of West Grove 08. Congratulations, class. You can go off stage now. Thank you very much for attending this evening. Please feel free to take photos if you'd like, and be safe driving home.